How I treat you is my responsibility. How I deal with you if you're difficult is my responsibility. But how you treat me, I can't take responsibility for that. Number 2. That's the first golden key. What was it? All right, I got 15 minutes. That's my fault, talking too much. Number 2, write it quickly. You'll love this. Learn to develop a winning attitude. Attitude is everything. Everything rises and falls on my attitude. The attitude, and you heard me speak on attitude when I was here before, but I'll just refresh your memory. My attitude right now is the one I chose. No one can make me face another day with a bad attitude. If you got a bad attitude, don't blame your wife, don't blame your husband, don't blame your kid, don't blame your dog, don't blame the preacher. Look in the mirror and blame yourself because you chose it. If you're hiring an employee, 2 employees come to interview. One has great skill, but you pick up a me first, poor attitude. The other comes in and you realize they don't have much skill at all, but they have a great attitude. Which one would you rather hire? I can tell you which one. I can teach you skill. I can give you the knowledge, but I can't give you the attitude. So you can have all the skill in the world, but I pick up a me first, narcissistic, poor attitude. I don't want you anywhere around my organization. I want the one with a great attitude because I can train you. Because that attitude will open you up to being trained. The coach of UCLA said, things turn out best for people who make the best of the way things turn out. Did you get it? Things turn out best for the people who make the best of the way things turn out. It's like the old boy that entered a mule in the Kentucky Derby. He paid the fee, very exorbitant fee, and he's entering his mule, and they're putting a little thing on him with his number, and the old boy that owns one of these racehorses walks over and says, I don't mean to be nosy, but why in the world would you pay the money to enter your mule into the Kentucky Derby? He said, well, I know he can't win, but I just think the association would do him good to hang around with racehorses. Hang around with people that are going somewhere. Develop a winning attitude. And by the way, maintaining a good attitude is a lot easier than regaining a right attitude. You say, how do I do that? Write this down quickly. Look within you. Are my attitudes pleasing to others and to me? Is my faith stronger than my fear? Look inside first. How do you maintain a winning attitude? Look inside constantly. Number 2, look around you. Am I associating with the right people? People are like elevators. They'll either take you up or take you down. People will help and sometimes hinder your destination goals. Understand, if you have a group around you now that are taking you down, find a new group of friends because they will take you to the bottom. I remember years ago there was a commercial, I think it was Walgreens or one of the drugstores, and they were talking about this girl that never missed a day of work, and she was the employee of the month every month. Put her plaque up with her picture. And the backstory to that was everybody in the employee of that drugstore hated her because she was always winning with her customers, with her attitude, and she wouldn't miss a day of work. She became Employee of the Year, and they hated her even more. Why? Because the people around her did not like her having such a good attitude. Find people around you that will celebrate you, not tolerate you. Amen. I was just talking to someone about that yesterday. And they said, I want to go to where I'm appreciated. I said, don't we all? That's why we like coming here, by the way, because we feel honored and appreciated and valued. But if I didn't, I wouldn't be standing here. I would have said, thanks, but no thanks. Everybody wants to be appreciated. Everybody wants to be valued. Everybody has value. This man sitting right here has forgotten more about life than I'll ever know. Yeah. Not much. No. Dr. Bill has learned more about life. People like that value them and learn from them. Make an appointment with them and say, just talk to me. Right? Just talk to me. Find somebody that's been on the road longer than you have that demonstrates that positive attitude and sit down with them and say, how did you do that? Number 2, look around you. And then number 3, look above you. That means asking God daily for strength and a positive attitude that we have to have. Number 3, forgive me. I'm just going to give you the rest of them. Number 3, golden key number 3. Refuse to take shortcuts. Now, I'm not talking about learning from other people's mistakes. I'm not talking about learning from others to get things done quicker. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about shortcuts to your destination will eliminate the learning experience of going from A to Z and skipping all the in-between. I'm talking about shortcut thinking and shortcut living. It's this attitude of doing just enough to get by. For many centuries, genuine pearls commanded a high price because of their scarcity. Great quantities of oysters had to be examined before a few could be found that contained the coveted treasures. Then suddenly the market became flooded with them. After some investigation, the mystery of the abundant supply was revealed. Enterprising individuals had discovered that if a foreign object is lodged in an oyster's tender flesh, the oyster will form a glistening pearl around the source of discomfort. We all know that. Deciding to help nature along, these people artificially induced the process by inserting irritants such as tiny beads and buckshot into the shells. When the pearls had formed, they were carefully harvested. Wealthy patrons became suspicious, however, insisting that the luxurious jewels be subject to a special test. Although outwardly they seemed perfect, the x-rays showed their impurity, for they had false hearts of lead or glass. And if we're not careful, we can develop the same false hearts by succumbing to the subversion of engaging in shortcuts, those little actions that will keep us from going where we want to go. Shortcut thinking involves what's easy instead of what's best, what's acceptable instead of what's excellent, what's short-term instead of long-term. God is a long-term thinker. Now, got to move on. Number 4. And I've already covered this last night. I'll just give it to you. Be open for change. Change interrupts your comfort zone, the SQ factor. And we already talked about change twice, so you pretty well know what I'm going to say. Number 5, last one. 5th golden key is determined to have goals that are reachable. For example, I'm a big, if you hadn't heard, Atlanta Braves fan. Yes. Thank you. And fortunately for you guys, when they're on TV and I'm out of town, some places I go, they're on their TV. You happen to be one. I got a replay at 11 o'clock last night of the game that they had. Now, I wouldn't have watched any of it, but they won, so I could watch a few innings before. Now, fortunately for you, as a Braves fan, from the time they moved to Atlanta from Milwaukee in 1966, I was in Vietnam. My daddy, who raised me on baseball, sent me clippings of the games in the first year they were in Atlanta. I was overseas. First thing I did when I came home is I went to a Braves game at Old Fulton County Stadium. I saw Henry Aaron hit 2 home runs that night. I saw Roberto Clemente playing right field. Now, what if I said to you, my goal next year is to play center field for the Atlanta Braves? Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing? You say, that's not a goal, that's stupid. I would say, you're right. That's why I said, have goals that are reachable and make sense. That's not a goal. Well, I'm going to play in the NBA next year. Well, you better grow. No, come on. I'm going to build the biggest church in the world. How about starting where you are with the group that you have? Good goals for some. For some, they're silly. No, I'm convinced that we need some short-term goals that we can reach. And within that, we'll develop long-term goals. I understand. I have a whole separate seminar on goals. I'm not going to give it to you now. We're out of time. But why don't people have goals? At least something. You know, Laura and I are on a journey to do certain things physically and for our health, and we're doing it every day, short term. And we can see the results. And when you can see the results of a short-term goal, you want to do more. I wrote a whole thing on why people don't follow through with their New Year's resolutions. Because usually the goals of New Year's, and I don't do New Year's resolutions. I haven't done them in years. First of all, it's discouraging because I never followed through with them because my goals were outlandish and didn't make any sense. And most of the time we have this January fever that says, time to join the gym. It's time to get in shape. It's time to do all that. And by mid-February, we're done with all of it. Because we're not willing to take small steps to reach goals. Why don't people do that? First of all, they're not convinced about the power of goal setting. It does something to you to have some short-term goals that you can reach. Secondly, they don't really know what they want in life, so why bother to set goals if I don't know where I'm going? It's like getting in your car here in Charlotte or Concord and saying, I'm driving to Los Angeles without a map and without navigation. I'm going to head that way. And hopefully I'll get to L.A. at some point. Wouldn't it be better to have a road map? Back in the day, navigation now, Google Maps or whatever, they talk to you, turn here, don't turn there. And then they won't shut up. They just turn here in 800 feet. Okay, I'm going to. Turn here in 800 feet. Oh, shut up. Give me a chance to turn. But if you don't know where you're going, you just head out in some direction, how are you going to know? I left a conference in the hills of Kentucky in a conference center. Wonderful. And my oldest had just gone into labor, and I got the call, my oldest daughter, and I got the call while I was teaching that I needed to get home. She was having an issue. So my guy that was with me that drove me up there in the hills of Kentucky, I said, we got to go. So I stopped the teaching. I said, love y'all. I taught you all day yesterday. That should be enough. Got in his van. And it was about a 5-6 hour drive from way up there down to Knoxville over to where we lived. And so we got in the van. And instead of him asking how to get back to the interstate, he didn't ask anybody. We just took off. So I was worn out after 2 days of teaching. And I laid back in the seat, closed my eyes, and I never sleep in the car, but I fell asleep. And I woke up and looked around. And we were crossing a bridge that said, welcome to Ohio. He took a wrong turn and took me into 30 miles south of Cincinnati. I said, I'm not sure, but I don't think that's where we want to go. Stop over there and ask somebody. We wasted about 2 hours because he failed to ask direction. Don't just hop in a car and head out. Don't just randomly live your life. have a direction to go in. And then, this may sound strange, but another reason why people don't set goals, they may be afraid of not reaching the goals and admitting the fact that they failed. Well, good. Start again. Start again. Well, that's only 5. I could scrounge up a few more, but I told you I was going to quit on time. I'll keep my word. It's